Sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
A breezy and cool start to the work week. We have already seen winds gusting as high as 39 miles per hour in Lansing, 37 miles per hour the peak wind gust thus far over in Jackson. These breezy conditions also coming along with some really chilly temperatures. Currently we're at 10 degrees in Hillsdale, 13 right now in Lansing, and that is dropping a couple of our wind chill temperatures down below zero. A look at satellite and radar shows that we have a couple of lake effect snow showers making their way through mid-Michigan. We'll talk about how much snow we are expecting for today and when warmer temperatures will return coming up in just a bit. 6 News at Noon starts right now.
WLNS is here for you with 6 News at Noon.
Trump administration officials are expected to meet with a Russian delegation to discuss a path to ending the war in Ukraine. And today, Ukraine's president is reacting to this news. It's our top story at noon. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Megan Vaselli. President Donald Trump says he's pushing forward to try and broker a peace deal in Ukraine, while also hoping to save a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Natalie Brand is here for you now with the latest from the White House.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio arrived in Saudi Arabia Monday ahead of scheduled talks tomorrow between Trump administration officials and a Russian delegation about ending the war in Ukraine. President Trump commented from Florida.
We're moving along. We're trying to get a peace with Russia, Ukraine, and we're working very hard on it. It's a war that should have never started.
The president has said he could meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin soon, following their phone call last week. But Secretary Rubio says there's still a lot of work to be done.
The next few weeks and days will determine whether it's serious or not. Ultimately, one phone call does not make peace. One phone call does not solve a war as complex as this one.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine was not invited to the talks and any deal made without them will not be recognized.
Secretary of State Rubio's trip to the Middle East comes as he's also in the region to discuss the future of Gaza and the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he and the Trump administration are working in complete coordination.
We have a common strategy, and we can't always share the details of this strategy with the public, including when the gates of hell will be opened, as they surely will if all our hostages are not released.
Rubio said the U.S. is not in favor of waiting weeks and weeks for all hostages to come home. He also said Hamas cannot continue as a military or government force. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
In addition to being in Saudi Arabia for talks about Russia, Secretary of State Marco Rubio also is discussing President Trump's plans to resettle Palestinians out of Gaza so the U.S. can take over the Strip and develop it. However, not everyone is happy with the new direction President Trump is taking our country. Today, protesters have been gathering at every state capital in America to mark what they're calling Not My President's Day. This is a live look here in Lansing, where plenty of people are braving the cold to make their voices heard. It's part of the same grassroots movement that brought hundreds of people to the Capitol earlier this month and has mostly been organized online. We'll bring you their stories later today on 6 News. A suspect now in custody today after a man was shot and killed over the weekend. Police say it happened on South Pennsylvania Avenue around 1 o'clock Sunday morning. Officers say that's where they found a 45-year-old man with a gunshot wound who was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Police do not believe the shooting was random, but instead the result of a confrontation. So far, no names have been released. More than 100 people will soon have a new place to call home here in Lansing. That's because in the next half hour, the Lansing Housing Commission will break ground on 2 major downtown developments that will add more than 100 new apartments. The city says these 2 developments will be the first new units built by the Housing Commission in more than 20 years, and they'll add up to more than $41 million in new construction. Both housing complexes will be built on Grand Avenue. One of the projects is called Riverview 220 and will feature 56 apartments reserved for low-income families, as well as retail space. The other, called Grand Vista Place, will include an additional 55 apartments. And that's not the only major project breaking ground today in mid-Michigan. Jackson College is kicking off construction on its new Center for Applied Technologies building. The college says this will help meet the rising demand for workers in the fields of utilities, energy, industry, and sustainable technology. They'll break ground on the $7 million, 15,000 square foot building tonight at 5. It will go up in the southeast corner of campus behind the Hauser Child Development Center. The city of Lansing is not one of the top state capital cities in the U.S. That's according to a new study by WalletHub. Lansing came in at number 39 out of the 50 capital cities. The study compared 4 variables: affordability, economic well-being, quality of education and health, and quality of life. The top-ranked cities were Austin, Texas, Madison, Wisconsin, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Boise, Idaho. The bottom 3 were Augusta, Maine, Trenton, New Jersey, and Jackson, Mississippi. Gas prices in Michigan are down slightly from a week ago. That's according to new numbers from AAA, which show average statewide gas prices fell, but not by much. They're down just 3 cents from last week to $3.07 per gallon of regular unleaded. That's 7 cents fewer than this time last month and 16 cents fewer than this time last year. Drivers in the greater Lansing area, you're paying quite a bit less than the statewide average at $3.01. And those of you in Jackson paying just slightly more than that at $3.04 per gallon, but still falling below the statewide average.
From Storm Tracker 6, this is Weather First, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
A windy and cold start to the work week across mid-Michigan, with winds already gusting between 20 and 35 miles per hour across the area. Those gusty conditions allowing for a couple of lake effect snow bands to set up across the area, and we'll hold on to the chance for lake effect snow as we move throughout the next few hours. The good news is, other than the lake effect snow showers that we have setting up across the region, we do have a lot of dry air in place over the Midwest, which does mean that we will have very minimal chances for system snow as we go throughout the next few days. A live look over at the Capitol, you can see those light snow showers falling. Temperatures are currently sitting in the mid to low teens, but when we factor in these gusty conditions with winds currently at 24 miles per hour, it drops our wind chill temperatures down to 7 degrees below zero. Over in Grand Ledge, you can see that snow still accumulating on the ground. We've had a peak wind gust of 28 miles per hour thus far, and at certain points in time in these lake effect snow bands, you will notice that visibility will just be slightly reduced at certain points in time. The good news is, outside from this, I'm not anticipating any significant impacts to travel as we go throughout the next several hours. Over in Hillsdale, again, light snow showers falling this afternoon. Temperatures currently at 12 degrees. That peak wind gust already approaching that 40 mile per hour mark. Wind chills will remain an issue as we go throughout the rest of the day today and for tomorrow as well. Overnight tonight, we're going to lose a lot of cloud cover across the area, allowing our temperatures to quickly tumble. And notice in terms of wind chills, as we start off our Tuesday, those will be between -10 and -15 degrees. We stay below zero as we go throughout our Tuesday, and then notice by Wednesday, we'll start to see some warmer temperatures returning to the area. The good news is, in addition to these cooler temperatures, not a whole lot of active weather in the forecast. Again, lake effect snow showers as we go throughout the next few hours, but at most, we'll pick up an additional inch of snowfall accumulations across mid-Michigan. Cloud cover decreases overnight tonight. We'll have mostly sunny conditions as we start off our Tuesday, but notice that cloud cover will return in the second half of the day. Yet again, we are dry and mostly cloudy just in time for our Wednesday, and then late Wednesday night into early morning on Thursday. Notice that we will have a very weak system developing just south of the state line. Now, this could bring us a very light chance of snow across the area. However, as of right now, a big question in terms of the amount of energy the system will begin to gain, and of course, the amount of moisture associated with it. As we go throughout the rest of our Monday, though, a couple of light snow showers in the forecast. Temperatures only topping out near 14 degrees, which is 20 degrees below normal for this time of year. When we lose that blanket of cloud cover overnight tonight, it allows our temperatures to drop fairly quickly. We'll fall down to an overnight low of -2 degrees, but remember those wind chill temperatures by tomorrow between -10 and -15. 6-day forecast shows we stay in the teens for our Tuesday, and then we slowly start to warm things up back into the 20s on Wednesday. Not only do we warm things up, but there's a lot of dry weather in the forecast as well. However, temperatures really going to stay well below average and of course below the freezing mark this week and even as we move into the upcoming weekend.
Yeah. You guys have been busy.
Yeah, from snow to cold, we got it all within the past few days.
We definitely did. Yeah. All right, Kendall, thank you. Here's what's coming up at noon.
A disaster declaration in Kentucky following deadly flash flooding over the weekend, and more flooding and snow are expected. I'm Karen Hua with this brutal weather that's gripping a large part of the country.